Welcome back to 164 Revival. In this episode, we're going to be customizing the Packin Pacer. Alright, now today we are going to be doing the Packin Pacer, but you may be wondering why I've got this group of cars in front of me. I've got 16 of those, various models. They're all Hot Wheels, and what I'm going to be doing is creating a new series called the Mean 16, kind of my version of the Sweet 16. I'm going to do some spectra flaming on them, do some customization. They'll probably have real riders on them instead of red lines. And what this series is going to be is a 1 to maybe 2 videos a month exclusively on my Patreon page. So if you want to, go ahead and become a patron of 164 Revival. This series will be available to all patrons. The first tier is only $1 a month. So for $1, you can get in on this series of the Mean 16 by 164 Revival, and I appreciate it greatly. Okay, so back to the task at hand. We're going to punch the single post that's on this. There's only one, and I believe the back of it has got a molded license plate area there that they use as the tab to hold on to that. So we're going to go ahead and drill that out. Drill out the mushroom cap on there, and it easily comes apart. Right there we've got some tabs holding the little crimp tabs holding in the axles there. That'll be simple. The interior, this interior seems to be stuck in there pretty good. There we go. Got it out. It's all chrome. I'm not a fan of the chrome interior. I got the engine in the back there. This thing's got to be loud, man. I'd hate to be driving that. Looks like the glass is pretty good. No cracks. Body, be ready to put that in the stripper. We got a tap though, so we're going to drill and tap that out. And I did I believe it was the last or one before that car, I'd snapped a tip off of this. Now I typically I don't use oil. Typically use wax. It does work, but for some reason it just snapped. So I just went ahead and ground it off flat, which kind of worked out good. So we got her in there. We're going to do some stripping. I'm using aircraft stripper because I want to strip this down quick. I'm trying to get more used to using the citrus strip. If I've got time and I can just throw a casting or two in and let it go, but I'd like to get more into using the citrus strip, but this aircraft stripper does it real quick, so when I want to do a quick one, I'll use it, and I've got plenty of it, so it'll last me for a while. And as you can see, it bubbles up real quick. And I'm going to polish up the casting. I got the paint all scrubbed down, washed off. I'm going to try and do a brass brush polish to begin with here. And now here I used a Dremel polishing wheel and some polishing compound that I got from Harbor Freight. Got her all nice and shiny right here. Alright, now we're going to cut them axles out, and I'm just going to cut one side and pull out the other completely. These need to be replaced. They are crusty. Won't even save them possibly for anything else. They're just going to go straight into the trash. And it looks like I need to get myself a sharper pair or sharpen up these snips here. But once I do, like I said, I'm just going to pull them straight out. I'm probably going to end up having to groove out and put some axle tubes in at least with the wheel setups that I've got. The rear are they spin on the axle, and the other ones I got, not sure where I got them. They're kind of like an M2 style that you just press in, and then the whole axle and the wheel needs to go. So that one will probably need the axle tube. So yeah, here I am. I'll go ahead and grind out the front side, and I'll grind it out enough so I can get that axle tube in there and get it all glued up. And I'll grind down, because the axle on the rear setup of wheels that I've got, it's a little thicker than the original. So just going to get some K&S, I believe this is aluminum tubing. Just going to cut to fit. I like this K&S tubing, and it doesn't matter to me which I use, the brass tubing or the aluminum tubing. It's easy to cut with an X-Acto. So once you get her cut to fit, then we can set it in there, center it up, and I'm going to use some gel. I believe this is Gorilla Glue. Let that settle down in there real good. And this stuff's pretty thick, and that glue right there has got 2 applications on it. You can put you can dab it as I did, or there's another brush that's in there that you can then brush the stuff on. So I spray it down with some activator so I can work quickly. And there you go. Those are the front skinnies that are going to go on. And then those are the rear big booties. So I'm going to do this pretty much the same thing, except I'm able to glue down the axle solid there, because the wheels spin on the axle in this setup here. And again, I'm going to grab some activator. And that activator is a beautiful thing. I love using that stuff. Really don't have to wait too much when you're gluing things up. And she's a roller. Okay, we're going to get the paint concoction going here. I'm going to use Spectraflame Lime Apple. And the 2-to-1 mixture here of this brand is Omni. Quick Clear and Hardener. And what I've got here is I got to get rid of that plastic. You don't want to use a plastic when you're doing this mixture. Use a glass. Shot glass is perfect. And when doing that, you want to use 2 different droppers, because you don't want to be sticking that dropper in. You just got the clear going and then stick that in a hardener. It's just to be safe. And I believe those are 5mm droppers. So I use 2 different ones, and there here I'm mixing up I'm measuring up the hardener to put in it. I'm going to grab a smaller dropper, like a 3mm dropper for the Spectraflame. Basically, you're just tinting the clear is what you're doing. If you pre-do this, or pre-mix it, just to set around, you're just going to want to do the clear and the, a Spectraflame or whatever other kind of urethane tint that you're going to want to use. Don't put the hardener in there. So we're going to give this a decent little mix up with the electric mixer. And unlike using the Createx and all that, the Createx will foam up real good, you know, because it's water based. And here we're going to start off with just a real small little tack coat on there. And when you do, if you're doing a mix like this, tint the clear heavily. That way you don't have to put so many or so much of a coat just to see the tint start. So when it's heavily tinted, you'll start seeing color pretty quick, and you won't get you'll want to have that need of seeing that tint at least go on a little bit. And if it isn't tinted nice and heavy, then you're apt to put a heavy coat on just to see it. So don't do that. Tint it nice and heavy, and you'll be okay. Going on right here and putting a wetter coat, and you can really see the color on it. So while that's going to go ahead and dry, because I've got a nice thick wet coat on the body, I'm going to paint, and I believe this is called ochre, and it's just an acrylic. Kind of gives it a kind of a light sandy brown. So moving on to the glass, I like this Novus stuff. I've got the fine scratch remover, and I've also got the heavy scratch remover, and it does come with like a spray-on shine coat, which I haven't used yet, but I've used both of the fine and heavy scratch remover on this stuff, and I like it really good. It does take out scratches pretty easily. So I got to do the front, and then there's some sides, both inside and out. Got to do the insides too. And usually when you start hearing a squeak as you're rubbing, you'll know that you're getting down to it being really smooth. So, and like I said, I'm not using that spray-on clear finish that the Novus pack comes with. I'm using the Pledge. I'm going to wick it off and let it sit. Should come out pretty good. And now I'm going to do some striping. I'm going to tape off the center where I don't want any paint going on. Going to get the sides hit. And once I get sides hit and I get where I want the stripes to go on, then I'll just mask the rest of it. And this tape here I believe I got it at Hobby Lobby, and where I'm not sure, but I really like it. It come in a 3-pack of 3 different sizes, and it goes on pretty good. So after painting, the stripes came out pretty good. Problem, I didn't wait long enough. I got a little anxious. So back to the stripper it goes. Okay, so I should call this thing the painful pacer, because I had some trouble on the way down the stretch with the paint. Had to repaint. Same process, everything that I did prior, but I went with a different color. And here it is. I did it in purple. Now I didn't do the Spectra Flame. I tinted the concoction with a alcohol ink, and right here it doesn't look as purple. I guess it kind of does, but in real life it looks a little bit darker than what you're seeing here on camera. But it came out pretty good, I think. And I didn't paint on the stripes. I went ahead and did a white backed water slide paper and created some stripes. Look like they've got kind of a shine to them or a reflection to them, but they really don't. It's just an image. Cut them out and put them on. Also put some sponsor decals on there. I use a Molotov on the front bumper, the rear bumper. Did some detail on the backside with the brake lights, turn signals. Slapped a license plate on there. I did the detail in the interior. I'm gonna try and get some photos here at the end that might show a little bit of that. I did some color detail on the engine, even though with the yellow tinted glass you can't really see much of it, but I'll try and get some photos at the end here. So stick around for some photo shots, and I thank you guys for watching this episode of 164. Everybody have a good one.